I guess we'll start off just the deadline as a whole for the Raiders. Obviously, the goaltending moves eventually bring in Max, and also the move to bring in Matt Cullen to start things off. Just how would you sum up the last couple of weeks in tinkering the roster and getting things set up here for the stretch drive?
This time you try to do most of this stuff in October, November, and the beginning of December. I think we knew probably in the summer at some point in time we'd have to get out and find a guy like Max Paddock. So we're really excited about that. And Cully, that just kind of fell in our lap. And he plays a tenacious game. He's been part of a winning tradition with the Pat C's when they won a Max tournament. And as you can see, he's a guy that brings great effort every night. And I think he adds speed and depth to our lineup, and really gives us an opportunity to have three really good lines, and then a fourth line that losing Brooke is tough, but still at the same time can get out and provide us some energy and a little bit of skill now, and with Horan back in the lineup.
Let's talk about the process of getting a guy like Max Paddock. Like, how long were negotiations going on for between you and the Pats?
With John's I think he's just a class individual and a pro, and we'd spoken about goalies, I guess, maybe in the summer a little bit, and then we really didn't think we'd need it as the season unfolded, and then we were in that situation. So we'd spoken once. I guess the first time I spoke, I obviously backed away and we went a different direction, and then made the decision as it got later. And I think the market maybe dried up for him as well. I do believe that was the only goaltender move here, unless something's pending while we do this interview. But so I think we found a fair deal that works for both clubs. And if Max plays pro, that's great next year. If he comes back, that really takes, I think, a lot of stress off of the D and the coaches moving forward too.
And then with Carter Suryanko's, being with the team still, obviously, Karki kind of could have been that guy, and for below us probably as well. Why stick with a guy like Suryanko? What do you see in him in terms of what he could blossom into?
Well, with Carter, a couple things. We think he's just raw, like nothing more. Come out of midget AAA, made our club at the start of the year. I think he's got all the intangibles and tangibles in terms of his size, his quickness, his readability, and then he's got a demeanor about him. The things you may not always see, the work ethic, the backup goaltender demeanor, but the desire and passion to learn, and it's there. Like, he's been a 9-17 guy for us from day one. His last outing, I believe, was Kamloops, and that might be one of the hottest teams on the other side, and they score three power play goals where two of them arguably didn't even see. They were screened. So we think there's a great young goalie in there. We think getting back to Max, the leadership he can provide and the experiences he's been through can really help his development as well.
You mentioned with the leadership and experience for Max, how much does that help, especially for a guy that went through that Memorial Cup experience as well, and his first full year as a starter has got to be huge?
Well, that's like Max really stole the job halfway through that year and into the playoffs, and unfortunately got hurt in that Mem Cup year for Regina. But he gave him a chance to win the tournament, and it was a tie game going into the third, or they were down a goal going into the third, and when finally it got broken open. But that's the way he is. He's a big game goaltender. He's been consistent throughout, and again, quality kid. On that side of it. So I think he fits seamlessly into the room, which is really important for us. And we think, again, he'll be a great mentor moving forward.
Only 6 defensemen here on the roster moving forward. There is the extra forward if anything should happen, but that indicates there's obviously, whether it be a Harrison or a McNutt, there's guys outside of PA that you're happy to lean to if it came to that?
So, and Fook is right here in town too, and we're working hard to get Goddess signed, our second-round pick. And so that was a goal of ours, is to try to add a guy. And then it becomes are you adding a guy to add a guy, or are you adding a guy that can make a definite impact? And when you see maybe for a price for what Pudio went for, that was just an area code we didn't want to venture into, at least not at this time. For some of the other guys, with all due respect to those players, we just feel our younger players in that situation could come in and you know, dispel our older guys for a shift or two, give them a rest, and you know, pick up the 5 to 8 minutes we'd be looking for in any situation. Maybe the unknown in all of that is Usov was a defenseman for most of his playing life up until the last few years, and you know, there's a guy that you know, when desperate times comes to desperate measures, you know, we've seen him on the power play there. I'm sure Mark would use him if he had to.
Barring something that's been announced in the last 10 minutes, the deadline as a whole, you mentioned obviously the Swift Current Everett trade, some of the prices there. The Braden Tracy trade was a big one. Kind of, what was your thoughts on how the deadline kind of played out this year? Because it seemed like everything kind of accelerated the last couple of days.
Well, I think even at the time of this, there's going to be a couple big ones that explode here. You know, I think everyone's watching Red Deer, what they might do. Maybe Vancouver, maybe something out of there. Lethbridge was mysteriously quiet. You know, Mad Hat did their deals a little bit earlier. And Calgary, you know, there's something going to come out of Calgary. They certainly made the move earlier for Olsen and, you know, paid a premium price for him, and, you know, maybe thinking they were going to get young Quinn, who used to be a Raider prospect as well. So I think a lot of this stuff, it's interesting because you got a ball in the air and something happens, and then that changes maybe what you do, and certainly it's got to fit. Right, so no different than any of them. It's a stressful time of year. I think especially for the kids, that's maybe a real positive for us. Is our club has played very well, even though we haven't had the success on the score sheet. I think the deal we did do sends a message to the group that you know what, this is the support we think you guys need, and we believe in you. Let's face it, we were a top 5 team in the country up until, you know, the end of November. So it's just a matter of, you know, getting rid of the anxiety that followed us the last little while and playing our game.